Hi. Hello. I'm glad everyone's not just sitting here quietly. This is a good sign. I'm glad I actually have to get people to quiet down. I am Austin Sensman. I'm one of the founders of Birmingham AI. I'm not the normal finance speaker. Chip Kalusik is the main leader of this group, and he is at Disney World right now. And we're trying to tell ourselves that we're having more fun than he is. He's not really into the whole late stage capitalism thing, so he's probably just struggling through it. But Andrew Becker also helps out as well. You stick your hand up, Andrew. Thank you all for being here. Who's here at Birmingham AI for the first time? Oh wow, a lot of y'all. Okay, great. Like not just the finance, but first Birmingham AI event ever, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so we've been doing this since June of 2023, just Birmingham AI generally. So since there are a fair number of new people here, I'll kind of give you a little intro. Let me just start by thanking the people that put the food on our plates and help with the space. Kesis is a software development company here in town with a great value proposition. They're basically asking, are you spending too much money on software? Now might be the time to think about building that software yourself. Take that $100,000 you send to Salesforce every year and reinvest it in your own company. So they're great, and they frequently are at a table out in the lobby. So if you need someone to talk to who's hip on what you can do with AI to build better software right now for your company, that's where I would start. And then Link, I don't know if you saw, they just raised a $20 million Series A last week. They build infrastructure that helps AI text with people. And we think text message is going to be a real popular format for talking to our AI assistants. So that's what they do, and they're off to the races. Cool. So the featured sponsor for today is the Innovation Depot. So who's in the Depot for the first time? A lot of times, yeah, people come to this event, it's their first time in this space. So thank you all for being here. We had a big event in January. It was at Red Mountain Theater. There were 400 people there. It was really cool. And we put together a video for that event that was our kickoff for the year. And I'm going to go and show it. So it's just a few minutes. And this was really meant to capture the energy of what we are doing. So I'm going to press play and get out of the way.
Birmingham, metropolis of Alabama, is called the Industrial City Beautiful. These Alabama highlands, rugged mountains in the northeastern part of the state, have brought about an economic revolution. With heavy deposits of coal, iron ore, and associated minerals in the so-called Birmingham district, have changed the picture.
We have people coming in from all over the country, and naturally a large number of people from the state of Alabama. It's long, but it bends toward justice. How long? They told us we wouldn't get here. All the world today knows that we are here in the state of Alabama saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
Look around and you'll see Birmingham is not standing still. This was a parking lot.
Businesses start, grow, and prosper at Birmingham's Innovation Depot.
Target's acquiring Birmingham's ship for over $500 million.
The city of Birmingham is one of 31 cities to be recognized as a federal tech hub.
It took Netflix more than 3 years to reach 1 million users, but it took ChatGPT just 5 days.
It's the age of the hyper-creative.
Everybody in the world is now a programmer. This is the miracle of artificial intelligence.
I think we're at the cusp of using AI, probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen.
In many ways, and we've talked a lot about the ways in which this technology can actually empower people.
So thank you all for coming today. This is a Birmingham AI meetup. A lot of you have been a part
of organizations before, meetup groups before, and you know that it's the members that make it happen.
Everyone's here because you have some sense that the future is moving in a direction that's a little uncertain and you want to understand what's happening.
It's not that much of a stretch to say this moment in time on Earth matters a lot right now. We have an opportunity for Birmingham to be a model city for how to embrace and win with AI.
It's really more than a monthly meetup. It's a new economic development engine for our city, working to make AI a net job creator.
Our mission is to accelerate the adoption of AI in Birmingham for all.
I don't know, I'm pretty proud of that, so. All right, great. So yeah, our mission is to accelerate the adoption of AI in Birmingham for everybody, all right? A lot of good things are gonna happen from this over the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of tough things are gonna happen, all right? And there's just a lot of uncertainty around what this means for our jobs, for our companies, for our kids, you know, on and on and on and on. And so the idea is to make a space here where people can show up to explore that together. The idea is not that I have all of the answers up here and I'm going to tell you, we try to present issues and then we just encourage people to make up your own minds. Go and try things, okay? That's the vibe. So this is the finance meeting. And so I think what Chip really wants us to be exploring in this meeting is what does it mean to be an AI first finance professional? And we think of finance as a big tent. You know, when I say finance, I'm thinking finance and accounting, and you can work, you know, in wealth management and real estate, you can, you know, be in a finance department, on and on and on. This is a very diverse group of people kind of centered around some of the common work y'all do every single day. And what we are encouraging people in this room to do is to learn and to lead. You know, you guys play an important role in your organizations in helping leadership understand the money. Okay, and AI is very applicable to the work you do. All right, AI is going to be a big part of being a finance professional, like not in 5 years, but like this year. And so today, by the way, the event from January, if you weren't there, today I'm going to talk about autonomous AI. You're going to hear me talk about that. That was the whole talk in January, okay? So if you haven't watched that, it may be worth, it's on our YouTube channel, it may be worth watching because that's sort of the setup for the whole rest of the year for us, the types of things we're interested in and we want people to be paying attention to, okay? Today I'm going to talk about super workers. All right, and this is something I am seeing a lot when I'm out training companies. There's a type of person that's using AI a lot. And OpenAI had some interesting research about this. Like the people that use ChatGPT the most, like that top 10%, they use it 17 times more than the average person. Okay, so this is a group of people that's using AI a lot. And there's a big gap forming between those kinds of people and the folks who haven't quite figured it out yet. And what's amazing about super workers is these are people that are incredibly productive, okay? But they are not working harder, okay? We all have this thing we're carrying around where if you want to get more done, you have to suffer more. You gotta grind. You gotta work 60 hours a week. You gotta ignore your family and focus on work and all this nonsense, okay? And what I'm seeing with this group of people is that they are getting a whole lot more done within the box of their work week, and they are having an enormous amount of fun in the process. These people are above average happy, okay? And part of it is when you use these tools in the right way, it's very empowering, all right? yes, I'm a financial analyst, but I'm never going to be a 10 out of 10 marketer, but now I can use this stuff and I'm like a 5 out of 10 marketer and I can go do that kind of work. You'll see some of this today. Like I'm not a data professional, I'm not a 10 out of 10, but now I can use AI and I'm like pretty good. And so you get to explore lots of different types of work. The boundary between your role and other roles starts to get a little blurry, all right? What these people are doing that's different from everybody else is the first thing is that they're not just having these conversations with AI where it's like, I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk, I talk, right? That kind of thing, all right? They've figured out how to use AI agents, which sounds really, I don't even know, what are those? What is an AI agent? Am I using those already? How do I do that? We're gonna look at that today, okay? That may not be as complicated as you think it is. A lot of the products you already are using have agents that are working within them. You may not just recognize them that way, and I want you to see it, okay? So part of what I'm going to show you today may not map to the tools you have, right? Who here has Copilot and that's all you're going to get? Okay, more of you than actually raised your hands. That's fine. I know it's a lot of you, okay? Okay, fine. Who here is mostly using ChatGPT? Claude? Thank you, my people. Other things? Yeah. What are they? Oh, Gemini, right, of course. Someday someone's from Google is going to be here and they're going to get upset with me. Because that's like the and Google thing. It's like these, oh, and Google. All right, great. So today we're going to look at all things Claude. And so just because we're talking about Claude, I don't want you to think, oh, I use Copilot or ChatGPT, this doesn't, right? I'm going to try to teach you and show you things that should be relevant to what you do. We just have to pick a tool, right? I don't want to be bouncing around all over the place. Claude, Anthropic released something called Cowork. It is only available on Mac. I was on a webinar with them last week and they said it'll be available in Windows in a few weeks. Okay, so when you see Cowork up here, like who here has a Windows machine? Right. So you're going to go back to your desk and you're not going to see this, okay? But it's going to be here in a few weeks and I thought I might as well show it to you. You want to be one of the first people in the world to be using this thing, okay? And so we're going to look at that. There was a big sell-off this week in a lot of software as a service companies. And part of the narrative was that a lot of the stuff that Claude Cowork can do, people feel is threatening to traditional software businesses. And so I'll show you some of that today. And I'm just going to get the tools out and I'm going to click around on a bunch of stuff. All right? And if we get through it all, we'll do a little Q&A at the end. This is not a huge room, by the way, so if you see something and you want to ask a question, just raise your hand and interrupt me. Okay? Like, this doesn't need to be a monologue. I'm sure you showed up with questions and we'll try to answer them. Does anybody have any questions before I get started? You guys are an extremely attentive group. Everyone's locked in, you know? Did everyone have their Diet Coke or whatever before the meeting started? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. The setup is we're going to explore a merger and acquisition scenario. So there's a target company and then there's the acquirer. And we're just going to run through some different things that might happen in this process. I'm going to try to touch every piece of the Claude ecosystem. The first thing you're going to notice is that there's a lot more than just one tool in here. When I say Claude, you're probably thinking I'm in the browser and I'm in the chat box and we're talking. All right? That's what we call Claude.ai. That's the browser world. All right? There's also Claude Code, which we're going to look at, which was my favorite tool of 2025. Now, I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer. So you're going to see some of that, and you're going to think, that's not for me. It absolutely is for you. It just isn't branded that way. I put like 12 or 15 people in a room every month who are completely non-technical, and I teach them how to do Claude code, and they love it. Okay, so when you see that, that's what that is. Claude Desktop is something you can download on your computer and run. It kind of looks like Claude on the web, but it does some different things, and that's where CoWork lives. We'll see that. Claude also has the best Excel add-in. It's much better than Microsoft's, which I guess we shouldn't be surprised by, really. Okay, so we'll look at that. And then there's also a browser extension, which lets us do a couple things. So I'm going to touch on a lot of these different pieces, and I'm just going to like furiously work. And I want you to kind of get a sense of what it's like when someone is just working at top speed through all this stuff and how much work is getting done. Okay? All right. All right, so here's Claude. I'm in the web. All right, and because Chip Kalusic is not here, we're going to reference him a bunch of times, and he'll see that when he watches the video. All right, so we're this firm, and we're analyzing this transaction between Cloud Sync and data flow systems. So here I'm just like warming Claude up a little bit. I'm just telling it kind of what we're doing. Who am I, right? What are some of the things I have? And before I start this analysis, I'm going to ask it, what sort of things should we do? All right. Now, you're an experienced person doing this kind of work. And so the answers it gives you, you're in a good position to look at it and say, is that a good answer or not? Right. If you had never done this kind of work before and it gave you an answer, I don't know, is that good or not? So you want to work in areas, I think this is somewhat obvious, but you want to work in areas where you're an expert or you know a lot, right? Because you can judge the outputs of AI very well. When we wander over into doing something in marketing or something else, right, it gets a little less clear. All right, so let's kick this off. There's going to be a decent amount of watching Claude work today. So I want you to see right away that something that has happened in the last year, like if we had tried this a year ago, this would have looked different. Claude is creating a document. Like that's a thing it does now. We sort of take it for granted that it does that. Previously, you remember it would just be spitting all this out in the conversation itself, right? And you'd kind of get lost and wouldn't be able to tell what was going on. But it is absolutely cranking through all this. So we will let it cook. Anybody have a question while we wait? A joke?
Just a
simple
question. What's the likelihood, just from your perspective, that Claude will be used in larger Fortune 500 companies?
Right. So in the enterprise market right now, Anthropic has about 42% of the market. OpenAI has 22%. So they're already winning. They're about double the market share of OpenAI. Now that's not obvious because you look at all the numbers and OpenAI has 900 million people using it every week. But when you go inside businesses, it's the opposite, right? So what's the likelihood? It's high and it's already happening. They are winning in that segment.
So from that perspective, and you may not know the answer to this question, but is it being used inside their ecosystem or being used outside of their ecosystem?
What is the boundary there? Like, what does an ecosystem mean?
Let's just say I work for Bank ABC. I'm on my bank issued laptop, getting in all these prompts versus going to my personal computer, getting the type of, just general type of questions that can probably help me.
Those numbers I just shared are like inside the company. Okay. Now Microsoft's going to say, oh, well, we have more people using Copilot. No, you have sold more licenses for Copilot. You do not have more people actually using it. And I think y'all might feel that. Yeah.
Is this a subscription for enterprise?
Yeah, I have a $20 a month plan, and that's something you'll hear if you come to Birmingham AI a lot. Like we encourage people to pay for your AI. You know how it is with social media. It's free. Yeah, that's because you're the product and right. OpenAI is about to start doing ads. I don't know if y'all saw Anthropic put some ads together that are just like cooking their ass like about it, and they're really funny.
That was my question.
That was your question?
Yeah.
I might show you one of those because if you haven't seen them, they're gonna show them the Super Bowl, and they are, yeah, they're spicy. Like they really did a good job. Okay, so, we don't have to go through all of this, but, we need to build a financial model. We need to go look into the customer cohorts from different time periods. We need to review that. And look, it's like in hours 8 through 16, I will be doing this. Synergies between the companies, revenue and costs. We got to come to some kind of valuation of the company. All right, how are we going to structure the deal? So it's worth saying these models are not trained to do M&A work. They are just trained broadly on the internet, right, with enormous amounts of compute. And from that, all of a sudden, they're like quite good at doing this kind of stuff. We'll do a risk assessment, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay? So one way to approach this is to come in here and just say, all right, let's just get started and have it start working on this. But the takeaway I want you to hear is when you are working on a problem, really good idea to start by telling the AI what the problem is and have it be a thought partner for you. Like, it will think, even if you're an expert in a field, it will think of things and suggest things that you haven't thought of, right? And it will be an interesting conversation to sort of round out your thinking on a subject before you jump in. All right? All right, cool. I'm going to jump over to Claude Code. All right? This is the part where you're like, oh shit, what is this? Okay. So Claude Code, this is like running in an environment that normally a software developer would be in. Okay. And you can see over here that it has access to files and folders. All right. So this is just a folder on my laptop. It's called Finance Demo. And there's some stuff in here. Right. So for the acquirer, there's a financial statement, just a CSV file. For the target, there's, all their various customers and what they're about, right? These are just CSV files. So these are things you could just spit out of a system you're working with. A lot of times people have connected this to their systems, so it can go into the accounting system, it can go in your CRM, go in your ERP, and we'll just work with this stuff directly. And so I'm going to be able to do things like come in here and ask it to run a series of analysis based on the files that I have, and then save the output, okay? So let's look at some things. For each company, what's their growth rate? I want to understand trends in their margins, their EBITDA, and these are SaaS companies, so customer acquisition costs, burn multiples, things like this. So I'm just going to hit go on this, and one thing I'm going to ask it to do, and it's just fun to see this happen, is I'm going to ask it to please use subagents. So Claude Code is a really powerful, not just coding tool, but it's a really powerful general purpose agent. And so when I do this, let's see what happens. All right, so I've given it 4 different things to do here, and what I hope to see here is it kind of spins up a job for each one of those things and starts attacking it, okay? And that's gonna assemble it all back together. Right, so saying, all right, let's look at the CloudSync financials. Great, let's look at the data flow financials. So if you haven't used Claude Code and you've been just in the browser, like typing in the box, so that's ChatGPT or whatever, when people get this tool, the best analogy we have is that Claude in the browser is like the magic mirror from Snow White, which is cool. Like you ask it questions, it gives you like crazy answers. And that tools like this feel like the genie from Aladdin, okay? Where it's like, we talk a little bit and then you go do something, right? And then we come back. It really does feel like that. People feel like the ceiling's been taken off and they just have a lot more power and flexibility. All right, so that one's gonna cook for a second. We also have this customer analysis, so we got a list of all their customers, right? We wanna know about concentration. Are there any shared customers between the companies? A cohort is like customers that signed up in a certain period. So like, let's look at it by month and like were there differences in customers over time, all right? So again, we'll just get this going. So you see I have lots of tabs open here. I mean, while one thing is working, I'm starting another one and another one and another one and another one. And then I'm checking back in. So it's kind of like having 4 or 5 people where you're like, hey, could you work on that? And while they go, you go to the next person, you go to the next person, you go to the next person. So when we talk about a 20x productivity thing, this is a lot of what's happening. Okay, is you're able to sort of kick this stuff off, and it may work on it for, I mean, it might be something that might take 6 hours for a person to do. It might take it 5 or 10 minutes, but what are you doing in those 5 or 10 minutes? I mean, you could go for a walk. A lot of people do that, okay? But the hyper-productive people are just starting more and more and more and more work, all right? So here we go. Let's see here. Great. All right, so it did all the things that we asked it to. Yep, and it put it in a file. It did not put it in a file. Outputs. Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't love this format. This is like some real computer science kind of junk. We could have just asked it to put it in a nice document. Okay. But that's the output of that. It's still working on the customer pattern. Okay. All right, great. So one thing we can do in Claude Code that's pretty cool is I can tell it, hey, we're going to be doing this kind of analysis a lot. Can we create a skill that I can just reuse whenever I want to do work like this? All right, who here is using something to dictate? Okay, enormous unlock. All right, you can talk 3 to 5 times faster than you can type. So it's not just the speed. You also don't worry about grammar or punctuation, right? So you can just get it out a lot faster. A lot of working with AI is making sure it understands the context. And the context is in your head. So how does the context get out of your head? And if you can talk instead of typing, it dramatically accelerates what you're doing. So when I do a training, we tell everybody, hey, get one of these tools, you should probably use it. And I'd say probably 20% of people have it when the class starts. And then when they watch me use it for 30 minutes, everybody tries to download it immediately, okay? So if you're not doing that, it's a huge unlock. Let me just say it again so you understand. Getting information out of your head and getting it to the AI is probably the most important thing that has to happen. And the difference in typing all that out and talking is dramatically different. And so if you want to get better with AI, being able to talk to your computer is a big win, all right? My favorites are WhisperFlow, which is available for Windows and Mac. And then Monologue is really good for Mac. There are a bunch more, okay? I'm sure there are 10 others that are really good. Those are the ones that I've found to be most useful.
WhisperFlow and Super Whisper, I think.
Right. I'm sure take the word whisper and add any word onto it. And I think there's probably a good app for it. All right.
So is that the WhisperFlow, how does that differ from using a built-in mic inside of the app for Claude or for ChatGPT?
Well, first off, it's general purpose, so it works in any text box, right? So anything you're doing, right? Because that doesn't exist here, right? And so it just solves the problem wherever you are, right? Okay. Question? Yeah, hey.
Just a quick question. Going back to your analogy for the magic mirror versus the genie, co-work, to fit that into that analogy, is that any less capable of a genie, or is it really just having a translator speak with your genie?
We're going to see Cowork in a minute. Cowork is Claude Code for the rest of us. So I think everybody should use Claude Code and try it, but just most people are not going to download this, get this set up, It's kind of techy and weird and whatever. And what Claude Cowork is the people at Anthropic realized that non-technical people were using Claude Code. And they're like, hey, we should just make a nice, pretty user interface for those people. Right. And so a lot of people who would never use this are going to get Cowork, and they're essentially the same products. Okay? They're going to look very different, but they work the same way. All right? All right. One of the first things people notice in working with Claude Code, and you'll see this in Cowork too, is that it asks a lot of questions, right? A big part of the problem with hallucination is that AI just kind of fills in the blanks for itself. And it assumes a bunch of things. And you get an answer back and you're like, well, that's not really what I want, but you didn't really tell it what you wanted, and it can't read your mind. And so these tools do a much better job of saying, you know what? This person's intent is this, but if I'm going to do that for them, I don't have this information, so I should ask, which is a big improvement, all right? So I'm asking it to make this skill. It should, what should trigger the skill? I don't know, you figure it out. What output format do you want? I don't like that JSON stuff, actually. A markdown file, by the way, is just a text file. Okay, it's just a simple text file, but it's what these computers like. Should we always use parallel subagents? Sure. All right, so it's just asking me some questions to try to build this thing. What a skill is, and you'll see this across Claude Code. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've gotten up on stage a lot and tried to teach people how to build better prompts, okay? So you can imagine being on the internet and it's like, this is the ultimate prompt for doing M&A valuation, right? And it's like 12 paragraphs of like stuff, okay? No, you don't do that anymore, all right? What a skill is, imagine it's like taking that prompt and it's like stashing it somewhere, all right? So the way it works here is there's an awareness based on the description of that skill where if I'm like doing M&A work, it's like, oh, we have a skill for that, right? So you can build these for your company and you can make them available to people. And when they're doing that kind of work, they don't even need to go search for them, right? The idea is like, oh, hey, Alan, like you're doing valuation work. Like we have a skill here, let's use it. So this is a big unlock. People don't have to learn how to do crazy prompts. They don't even have to know, there's not like a prompt library where they have to go find the prompt and use it. It's just there. It's done in the way the company likes in a consistent way, and it just helps them.
I'm just curious, is that the same thing as the GPT?
So it's the same idea, right? Like, but the thing with a GPT is like, I got to go find the GPT, you know? And they're like hard to update and keep updated, and they don't have as much functionality as this. So I think the spirit of them is the same. But I think the skill and the way it's put together is better. OpenAI has said they are going to adopt this same skill framework. So that's another bonus too. If you invest in this idea of building a skill, and you'll see what it is in a minute. Okay, it's done up here. So a skill, so this one's called Analyze Financials up here. What is a skill? It's just this markdown file that just sort of describes what it is, okay? And like what all needs to be done. So if you make this, you can take this and give it to ChatGPT and it works great too. Okay, you can take it to Gemini, it works great too. All right. So companies should be investing in building these skills, right? How do we do this piece of work? So you can start to see how AI starts to take parts of your job. I don't mean that in a bad way, right? It's like, here's this thing I regularly do. Can I like carve off how I do that? I was talking to an architect today, and he's like, we have to estimate gutters on all these buildings. And it takes like 3 or 4 hours to do this. So we have like a gutter estimator skill where we need to do that. We just say, hey, I need help estimating gutters. And it asks them like 4 or 5 questions and it does it in like 2 minutes. All right. So now whenever anybody in their company needs to estimate gutters, they just do that. Okay. It saves them 4 or 5 hours every time they do it. And it's always done the same way. Okay. So that's an idea in a different industry. All right. So that's a skill. Questions about that? Yeah.
This is completely coming from a viewpoint of ignorance. Is imagination a skill?
Yeah, but don't start by trying to build that one. You know?
Because AI doesn't really need us unless we prompt it to do some X.
Yeah, for now. I don't know the answer to that. This is a finance meeting, okay? Yeah.
With finance,
Yeah.
but not the economy, the currency. If money is not being exchanged, traded, bought, sold, through accounts receivable or payable, it just sits there. We need imagination to sell the products for people to buy them so we can continue doing what we do with money.
Yes, the marketing meeting is next Wednesday. It will be in this room. Was there a question over here? Yeah.
Like the architect.
Yeah.
Anybody validate what the restroom is? So real world, like, tell me what's going to cost to put gutters on this building. Tell me.
Right.
How correct was the answer?
Yeah, so this guy told me, he said, I checked it, and we checked it a few times. So what companies are doing is they're building evaluation. So what they'll do is they'll take 5 examples of properties that they already understand that they know the answer to, okay? And then they will create the skill, and then they will have it go and run, and then they will have it compare the answer it got to the real answer, okay? And that's important to have that because when the new model comes out, sometimes new models are, on the whole, they're better, but sometimes they're not as good in certain areas. And so you need to run the eval again. Oh, we have a new model. Like, does it still perform the same? Okay.
Create a regulator skill who is monitoring those things.
Yeah, you have another skill that, watches that skill and makes sure it behaves. Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good question, right?
Austin, one thing,
yeah.
We were having to replace some HVAC units on the second floor, and went in there and said, I need a 6-ton and 2 7-tons on the second floor. It's going to require a crane. It came back, it was about $2,000 higher than what the quote was. It was a big quote, but I was surprised. I mean, it was pretty darn accurate for something random like that.
Yeah, increasingly we're going to start trusting these systems more. I mean that in a good way. I mean, it's like, you hire somebody and you ask them to do the gutter estimate and it's like all wrong and you teach them why and then they've been there a few years and you don't check their work anymore because, all right, cool. So let's jump around a little bit. One part, this is Chip, by the way, who's not here. So one part of this is we need to do an evaluation of some of the executives of this company, okay? So this is the browser extension. Here, Opus 4, that is not what Opus 4.6 just launched today, cool. There's a new model that just came out in the last 15 minutes. So in the browser, this is an extension that you can install in Chrome or Edge or whatever. And it can see web pages, which is kind of nice, but it's also an agent, so it can go and look around the internet. There's a button down here that I'm not going to press that I would encourage you to explore, and it's called Teach Claude. All right? So I'm going to do something that I do in the browser. I'm going to click that button. It's going to record. I'm going to click around and do something and talk over it. All right? And then it's going to encapsulate that, and here it's called a shortcut. But next time I want to do that thing, I can just have the shortcut run and it'll go and do it. So we'll do this, all right? Basically go look at this executive and try to figure out these things about them. And you can just work without me, okay? So I'm not just doing a Google search here. All right, I'm asking it to do quite a bit and see if it can figure it out. Oh, nice. All right. Let's see. Systematically analyzing someone's connections, blah, blah, blah. It's compiling a behavioral dossier without their knowledge. Okay, Chip's gonna watch the recording of this. It's fantastic. Do whatever feels right to you. Anthropic does have a reputation of building models that are aligned and safe. Okay, something they seem to care about more than their labs. So, you know, maybe what it just did, maybe that's appropriate, right? It's like, no, we don't need to be doing that.
So, I think I understand building skills, synthesize, creating shortcuts.
Yeah, so let's look at it here. So it just did this thing, right? And what I would love is like anytime I wanted to do this kind of executive evaluation, I could just, because right, it could be a long prompt and I don't have to type that prompt or like save it somewhere. People don't, right? So how about we say, can you turn what we just did into a shortcut that I can reuse? I probably shouldn't have clicked this model that just launched. Okay, so it can't create the shortcut itself, but what I can do is, nope. Let's start a new task here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I guess it's here I said turn it into a task, right? And then it brought up this menu. So they've changed this, right, recently, all right? So I don't have to put this on a schedule, okay? I can create the shortcut. Let's make it much, much simpler. Let's just call it person diligence, all right? Something like this. And I'll create it. So if I open this up again, like let's say I'm on a different LinkedIn page, when I hit the /, okay, there it is. All right, and it will do that thing again. I'll give you an example of what this can do. I was teaching a class, this was a couple of months ago, and someone said, hey, did you know the January event for this Birmingham AI says that it's an open bar? And I was like, I did not. And there were like 400 people that were gonna be there. So I said, let's see what this thing can do. And I said, can you go to Eventbrite and find that page and replace all of that? It should be 1 drink ticket per person. And it did. And it's in my browser and I'm signed into Eventbrite. So it opened it up, right? It found that if it's like clicking and using a mouse and keyboard, it found it. It found the multiple instances where it had that. It fixed it all, okay? It actually went ahead and looked at other events and like, do those have the same problems? Like this kind of thing. And then it sent me a note and said, it's all done. You can go click on these links to look at what I changed. It's like, cool. I did not think it would work, okay? These tools got a lot better in the last 3 months. They kind of went from like toys to like, oh, yeah, that just works every time now. Okay, it's pretty wild, yeah.
So you could have just left it open bar. That's one solution.
I could have done that. Yeah, maybe that problem didn't need to be solved. Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question was about skills, but I guess about these as well. Like if you think about developing evals and having those for when you want to deploy these and validate that they're still accurate. What's a good mechanism to make sure we're covering like events that may be black swan type things within that skill landscape that you're not, prepared for? Because I see this type of activity kind of proliferating where you have this big inventory of skills at some point.
Yep.
And you're really, really trusting those skills. And maybe that evaluation process starts to occur over time and we lose sight of relevance of those skills.
Yeah, I mean, you want to focus on things that have easily verifiable outputs, I think is one thing, right? Like the gutters. Like how long is it? How many downspouts are there? How wide is it?
Yeah, so
that's it. Right.
Like how big of a quote would you need to ask for before it like moves markets with some of the pricing and it'd be kind of like,
yeah.
I needed to put gutters on the Taj Mahal with that change in pricing.
Yeah, right. Should we let a human look at that one? Like when does a human need to be notified, right? Honestly, I know it sounds like a dodge, but it's sort of like we're kind of figuring out how this works right now, right? Like these things I'm showing you like 3-4 months ago, like this stuff didn't even work that well. And now it works perfectly, okay? So we're kind of, all right. Yeah, what's up?
like, I guess, accounting and finance related. For either like entering a journal entry into accounting software, or like, for instance, like I need to go enter a bunch of ACH information to like draft accounts in the bank portal. Can I just upload a spreadsheet to this and say, can you go fill out, make the journal entry for me, or fill out this, like the treasury section on the bank's website is very outdated and manual. You can't upload it.
Right, and there's no API, and it's just, right, it's great for stuff like that. I mean, you guys might know this, you might be in some of these systems yourself, but the world is run on these systems that are old, and you got to go and click on stuff and find them, and there's no API in any of this stuff, and a browser extension that can really work is incredibly powerful. And you can see how you can schedule it. Hey, open this up every morning and go to this page and get this report and download and put it in this folder.
And then what are, like, are there a lot of websites that block it? Yeah.
Not really. No. It's not zero, right? But you just have to go find out.
Because I think that a huge risk would be, what if it goes too far and clicks send before you review it?
Next item. I don't know. We're figuring stuff like that out, I'm not saying this is like a zero risk proposition, but you hire someone to do something for you and like there's some risk there. Humans just come prepackaged with some things. Reputation, desire to get a paycheck. I don't want to go to prison, right? Okay? And the AI doesn't have those guardrails. And so we are sort of exploring how they behave. Yeah.
It's shortcut. You could have a third-party data provider or whatever that has maps, demographics, and rates, all that stuff. I could do it once and say, follow me doing this, download this spreadsheet, take a screenshot of this, put it in a document, and it would do it.
Correct.
Pull it up on another browser, be like, do this.
Do that again. Right. That's right.
You tell it what to do.
What you're about to see with I'm about to do CoWork. Okay, so CoWork can use a browser. So what you don't get in the browser is a lot of orchestration. Like it can kind of do one thing. But from CoWork, right, it can launch lots of browsers and do lots of different things. It can get the file and then go do something with it, right? It's kind of sitting in the middle, right? And a browser is just a tool that it has. So the answer is yes. There was something over here? Yeah.
So I work with a lot of highly sensitive data.
Yep.
How do the enterprise versions of these tools handle security?
Yeah, I mean, it's in a data center somewhere already. They do the same thing those people do.
SOC 2, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the $20 a month version is.
Yeah, the one exception there is the out of the box, like the paid stuff out of the box is not HIPAA compliant. Okay, so what you do is you go to AWS and you sign a business analytics agreement with them, and you run all of your Claude stuff through AWS, not through Anthropic. It's very easy to do, and you can become. No, and if you're paying for something, they don't do that anyway, but the HIPAA thing requires a special consideration, okay?
Can you say that again?
If you have a HIPAA issue, do not try to sign an agreement directly with Anthropic because they are just swamped, okay? The easiest thing to do, and this is probably true for Azure and Google Cloud and whatever, go sign an agreement with your cloud provider, okay? And run your Anthropic model in their cloud instance. That is the easiest way to do that right now. Yeah.
3 rapid fire questions. Back to the security. Can it beat captchas?
Can it beat I don't know.
Okay. Second question. Can it use a virtual desktop?
Yes.
And then third question, I forgot the third question, so good.
Okay, good. Probably should have just limited you to 2 from the start, but that's okay. All right. So Windows users, you will see this in a couple weeks. Mac users, you all already see this. So this is Claude Desktop. You have to download this and run it on your computer, okay? And so if you're online, you're used to seeing this chat kind of thing. Now there's this button that says CoWork, all right? And so what I have done here is there are a bunch of plugins, and I'll show you those in a minute. Well, actually, they're right here. Let's take a look. So that news headline that said Claude Cowork is like messing with the valuations of SaaS companies, okay, is because of this. So what Anthropic has done is they've put together something called a plugin, okay? So here's the finance plugin. And what it is, it's a bundle of skills, okay, which we've already looked at. And there's like these slash commands where it can do a bunch of things, right? What can it do? It can do income statement, journal entry, reconciliation, variance analysis, right? Those are the commands it has. It has these skills in it, and you can add different skills in it. So you see what's going on here, right? They're just going to keep putting more and more and more and more and more stuff in here, right? So like, what can the finance plugin do? This is just the first version of it, all right? So if you invest in Claude Cowork and you use these plugins, every month that goes by, that thing's going to be more capable of helping you in your area. Did this thing just die? There we go. All right. What's cool about this too is there's not just a finance plugin. Okay. I mean, look up here. Here's a plugin for doing legal work, for doing marketing, for doing sales. Okay. On and on and on and on. So now all of a sudden I have access to a whole set of skills around how to do contract review. And now it's stuff that's out of the box here, but you can take these plugins at your company and customize them for you. So now all of a sudden, like the way you do reconciliation is the way that you do reconciliation. And everyone just goes into Cowork and that's sitting there ready to use. Yeah.
So if I make my own skills, does Anthropic see that logic that, they're not getting to my data necessarily, but are they looking at my prompt logic and saying, hey, that's a good skill, we should take that?
I don't know, but like it's whatever you do is not that special.
Fair enough.
You know, I don't mean that personally, right? I mean, you're like, hey, there's some secret thing about how we do journal entries. It's like, there's not, Now I'm not saying there are certain things you do that are. I mean, that is a legitimate question. I don't know the answer, but that would be like in the terms of service. My sense is they're not stealing people's stuff that they're putting up there. My take on security is a little different. I mean, if you talk to a security professional, they're going to sound different than me. But I'm like, these companies do not have a lot of incentives to like steal people's knowledge, right? If they did that and people found out they did that, they would just go out of business. Like people would stop using them immediately, right? Well, I don't have a Facebook account. Do you? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't use that garbage anymore. So anyway, that's a plugin, all right? And so here, yeah. Oh, well, did you want to see it? Yeah, okay, fine. It's very annoying that it keeps kicking me off. So sorry about that. 1260. Yep. Wonderful. Yep. Okay. All right. And we're back. All right. So in this case, one thing I want you to notice is down here, this is running on my desktop. It's looking at this finance demo. So we were in Claude Code. There are all those folders and files. We're looking at that same folder, same files. Okay, all that stuff's in there. And so here, there's a variance analysis skill that's part of the finance package. So I'm just going to ask it to compare this company year over year in a particular quarter. And let's see what it does. Okay. Oh my gosh, they switched them off. This is... Sorry, it's real weird. I've never had them launch a new model while I was in the middle of doing a presentation. All right, here it is. So, all right. So here it's a slash command, right? So I start typing variance analysis. There it is. All right, here's what I want it to do. All right. Let's see it work. So this looks a little different from a chat. Up there on the top right, a lot of times it will create a to-do list for you and it'll kind of walk through the various steps. So this is the agent working. It's like making a plan, right? And it's trying to follow the plan. It has access to all the files on your computer. You remember in Claude Code when it was asking me questions? Okay, same thing here, right? It's all in the folder. Okay, so again, really helpful. Instead of just guessing all that stuff, it's like trying to figure out what I'm really trying to do and clarify it before it goes and spends a lot of time working. All right? So this is co-work. Everyone's going to have access to this in a couple weeks. As soon as this comes out, I would try to figure out a way to try it. If this is something you need to like get on your personal computer and just like play around a little bit, you need to just understand how this tool works. Okay? Your company might not have access to it. That's okay. If you can understand how it works, when we talked about the mission of this group, I want people in here to be able to advocate for the best solutions for your company. You're like, yeah, we only have Copilot. I hear a lot of people say we only have Copilot, and it's a real low agency response. They're like, this is just my fate, and there's nothing I can do, and da-da-da, okay? And that's true, but I kind of hate that, right? Like someone needs to step up and be like, it's really important that we do something different here if this company is gonna survive and thrive in this era. And so understanding what the tools can do and being the kind of person that can speak with conviction about that matters a lot right now, because most people are just letting this kind of happen to them. All right? Here we go. All right, it found it. It's working on it, on and on. So it's going to work for a little while here. And while that's working, let's jump over in Excel. So this is Claude in Excel. So this is just something you can add into Excel. I already have the template for how we want to do this valuation model. So I'm just going to ask it to build this cash flow model. And I've given it some of my assumptions for how I want it to work. And again, these AI add-ins for Excel last summer did not work. They kind of worked. And so you would use it and you'd be like, I'm not going to do that. This is the first one that really, really works. And so, again, you wouldn't know that unless you try it, all right? And so this is something that would be worth trying. So it's just going to go and fill out all this template. I could have taken some of the files that we had already created, right, and just attach them in here so it had more context about the actual numbers, all right? That would have been the smart thing to do, okay? But it's going to work and figure it out. So do you see how, like, if I'm not talking right now, if I'm just working, I'm just like spinning all of this stuff up, right? I'd be in Claude Code, like making more tabs, like doing more work, all right? And just talking to my computer, giving it feedback, just going on and on and on and on and on. All right, that's what this is like. And let's look at the last piece of this. So there's a lot more in here that we can't do. Like, here's a legal prompt, right? We have one of their vendor agreements, so we can use the legal plugin, and it has a contract review module in it, okay, that we could customize for ourselves. But there's one out of the box, and we could ask it to look for this stuff, all right? So now even the non-lawyers in the company, before they even went to the legal team, could do this first, and then they could take that and go have a conversation with the legal team and like save them a bunch of time. I think that's kind of the vibe. I don't think this is meant to replace a lawyer. Here's some data stuff, right? Find data quality issues in this data set. Create some visualizations. Right? We are using English to get this stuff.
Do you have any data governance skills already?
There's nothing out of the box like that, you know? But yeah, they're just going to look at whatever Matthew's doing and just take that. Yeah. All right, so here's some other stuff with Excel. And then here's the kind of thing you could do at the end. All right, so imagine we've done all these analysis, we've stuffed all this stuff into our folder, all these different outputs, like we've built our whole financial model, we have all these analyses and things like that. It's like, let's make a PowerPoint, all right? And okay, completed all of this. All right, this was the variance analysis, on and on and on and on, okay? And so there it is, right? We could go look at it. All right. Most people don't recognize that model hallucination rates dropped like precipitously at the end of last year. So the GPT-5 class of models, the new Opus 4.5 model from Anthropic, they reduced the hallucination rates by 90% over the previous models, okay? So it's not zero, okay? It's still a problem, but you can see a world where it's 12 or 24 months from now, and these things don't make stuff up anymore. They're just solid, okay? It's still never gonna be zero, but you can see as you get close enough to zero, it basically is. But most people aren't aware of that, and you just kind of need to experience that yourself. It's just like working with a person and like coming to trust them by working with them a lot. All right? So here's this thing at the end, all right? Create this big presentation. Claude has a PowerPoint skill, okay? And it knows how to work really well with PowerPoint now. And so I would expect this to be good. One thing I would build for people is like there's like a brand guidelines skill, right? Where you take it and you teach all your fonts, all your colors, you show it examples of like what all your decks look like, all this kind of stuff. And then every time it makes something for you, it looks exactly how it's supposed to look. All right? Those are things you can build right now. So if there's a takeaway from this talk, it's like, it's worth trying Claude. And if you're gonna try it, it's worth playing around with the plugins, right? Which is like just pre-packaged knowledge work. And then it's worth building some skills, because those are the things that aren't just out of the box, right? How do I do this specific thing, right? Our way. And I think if you are familiar with the various pieces of Claude and you're familiar with plugins and skills, you are in a place to have a good understanding of where this stuff is going, okay? And you can become one of those 20x like super workers, okay? And it's really fun. Because again, you're just orchestrating a bunch of agents that are doing work for you. Hey, start this thing in Excel. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go over here and like work on this customer churn analysis. Okay, great, like that's working. Great, let's research some of the key executives at this company. Let's kick those off. Okay, great, those are going, right? It's kind of like someone described a lot of work as like the world's most boring video game. You know what I'm saying? You're like clicking on an email and like, you have your controller is a mouse and a keyboard and you're communicating with people and making documents, right? This just makes the video game a lot more fun, okay? And so that's what I mean when I say when people learn to do this, they're actually like kind of experiencing joy. And it's kind of cool to watch, all right? All right, it's 101, so I don't want to keep you here, past the time we promised. This thing is gonna make a nice looking PowerPoint in a minute, all right? Many people kind of watch people work this way and there's some level of anxiety, okay? Because it's like the gap from what you were doing at your desk a couple hours ago to what you just saw is like maybe kind of wide, all right? That's okay. Like I actually just want you to experience that. I think that's the encouragement to just go start, okay? You just start somewhere. And that's all you can do, right? It's just go back to your desk and just try something. And so that's what I would encourage people to do. We talk a lot about just being high agency. This is not happening to you, okay? This is happening for you if you can understand what you need to do today to be prepared for what the world's going to be like in 6 months and 12 months and 24 months, okay? And so we try to put you in these rooms and give you some hints about things to focus on or work on that will help you move yourself along a little bit. All right? If you could, give me some feedback on the meeting. If I get a good score, it's great, because then I get to go to Chip and tell him, we just don't really need you anymore at this meeting. That's not true. Chip's fantastic, and he's going to be back next month. but it is really helpful. Remember, this event is not for me, okay? This event is for y'all. And so we want to know if it's meeting your needs. Okay, we want you back in this room because you're getting value from this. And so if there's something you didn't like or doesn't work quite right for you, like, we want to know. And we sit down with all the breakout leaders and we read this after every monthly meeting, and then we talk about what we're going to do differently. All right? So thank y'all. I'll stick around for a while if anyone wants to chat, but y'all been a great, very attentive audience. Thank you, and class is dismissed.